Hello, everyone, and we are now live. So, thank you so much for joining Save Me From in today's live stream. I'm really excited to share with you how to prep and prime your hair when you are about to do that color treatment. I myself actually colored my hair. So I did a little bit something different for the change of, the season with fall and whatnot. So I'm really excited to share with you what I used to really achieve really my healthiest hair after doing this chemical treatment. We want to be making sure, especially when we're using harsh chemicals on our hair, whether that is bleach or dyes, or even if we're going in for a perm or a relaxing type of styling treatment, we need to be making sure that our hair is incredibly strong as a result. So we need to be really building up the bonds and the proteins in our hair. So then that way, when we're going through these treatments time and time again, that our hair is really going to be continuously taken care of as a result. So in today's live stream, I'm going to actually feature in our kit here. I'm really excited to just share with you because I feel like your targeted solution is not just one product, it's actually several. So for myself, I actually use our most strengthening formulation. This is our bond building formula of Chemical Conflict. And this is this is your top notch treatment for really that strength and nourishment to the hair. This really formulation helps to really bring in a lot of proteins into the hair through a hydrolyzed carob seed protein, as well as the vegetable protein that's really proven to help increase the hair strength, elasticity, as well as really helping to repair that damage that is induced from a lot of these chemical treatments. The protein size as well is really, really important in a lot of your bond building type of protein formulations as well, and really needs to range from 300 to 5,000 Daltons, which then helps to really help that protein penetrate the hair cortex, as well as really help seal in that protein of the hair shaft as well. And you really need to be using a protective type A treatment for those proteins and bonds to really build up into the hair. And really, Chemical Conflict also really has a great formulation, as well as in addition to those proteins we just talked about, is the biomimetic hydrolyzed keratin protein that really helps to replicate the natural proteins that are already in our hair as well. And this is really going to help target the most weak areas of the hair, as well as the damaged areas of the hair. And this is a really intelligent ingredient, as well as the hydrolyzed vegetable protein that really helps to replenish those lost protein, as well as lubricate the cuticles of the hair. So we recommend using Chemical Conflict as an overnight treatment before you go in with the chemical process. For myself, I actually used it as a leave-in treatment the night before, and then I actually targeted the roots specifically before I went in, just because I do have, I want to make sure that at the roots, that's really where I'm targeting most of the hair color. And I've noticed that I've actually had severe amount of breakage here at the roots. So I want to be making sure that I'm strengthening my hair, but I also highly recommend to use it continuously at least once a week or 2 to 3 times a week as a leave-in styling treatment, leading up to at least a week before when you actually are planning on getting this chemical treatment. And actually, you can actually recommend to your stylist, whomever is doing these chemical treatments, to add in a little pea size of this product, or just a pump if you have our full size airless hygienic pump, to add that into your bleach, or also your hair color, or also the glossing treatment that you might be getting done if you're doing a refresh on your bleach treatment, to really help strengthen and reduce that breakage that comes from those treatments, as well as helping to combat any split ends from that procedure or breakage. It's also important to note that Chemical Conflict, a lot of protein builders use a lot of like wheat type of proteins, and there are no wheat proteins in any single one of our formulations, nor is there wheat protein here in Chemical Conflict. And that is actually a really large molecule as well that actually can make your hair really hard and actually really brittle as a result. So you really need to have the right proteins and the right molecular weight as well. So I also want to give you a couple little tips as well when you are actually color treating your hair. So for those of you who may be, going back into the salon, definitely bring in Chemical Conflict and ask your stylist to add in a little pea-sized amount of that product. But for those of you who may be doing color treatment at home, because that's what I did myself, I highly recommend to veer away from your typical box dyes. For those of you who may be wanting to color your hair at home, but you don't know what other options there are besides box dyes, you can go to, Sally Beauty Supply or just another beauty supply store and pick up your specific tones and formulations. So rather than them being all set up in a box dye, you would have to buy them all separately. But I highly recommend that you do this. You have a lot more freedom and control over the tones and the colors that you really are getting out of that hair, especially when it comes to those box dyes. When you're looking at the model on the box, you're typically not going to actually end up having that specific tone of hair, depending on really your starting level. So that's really important to talk about as well, is that when you're actually dyeing your hair at home, you only really have the option of really going darker rather than lighter, unless you're going to bleach your hair. I highly recommend that you do not do that. You want to be making sure that you need to, leave the bleach into the professional's hands, because that's really when a lot of emergency hair damage effects actually happen. And if you're someone who's gone through that, and myself included, you know how devastating that is to see your hair fall down into the drain from that breakage that you may be induced from that weakening, brittle state of your hair, and just over processing your hair. Your hair is really porous as a result, and it's really easy to actually overdo it rather than actually really erring on the side of caution. So you need to be making sure that you're, if you're going for those bleach treatments that really build up the strength of your hair through chemical conflict or a bond building type of formula that's rich in proteins that really help strengthen the hair as a result. And also you need to make sure as well with your hair texture as well, right? If you have finer hair, it's a lot more, it's more vulnerable to being actually prone to breakage, just because of the fact that your hair texture is just one that is a little bit of a lighter, finer one. So if your hair is a little bit coarser, it also makes it so that the hair color actually can absorb a lot faster. So if you have curly or frizzy coarse hair, then you want to be making sure that you're not over processing your hair, and just having that understanding that your hair can actually end up picking up these tones in the hair and making your hair either look too ashy. So on the cooler side of the spectrum, those green and bluish tones, it can make your hair have like kind of a bluish hue. Or if you're going red, it could actually maybe exacerbate those really warm hues that maybe you're not looking to, have in your hair. So fine to medium hair textures just don't really absorb that color as quickly. So you don't have to really worry about the the tones coming up, picking up heavily on one side of the spectrum, or not, of warm or cool. But it is, one to say that, when your hair is absorbing the color, especially depending on the specific dye, you're going to have these undertones, and they may be a warmer effect. So you might have the orange or red, copper undertones as a result, or also the blue side, or blue and cool. So you have blue, purple, and green as well. So you want to be making sure that you're choosing the correct shades that really complement not only just your natural hair color, but also your skin tone as well. So then that way, this really helps to just improve your appearance and not really detract from that. And so when you're doing a lot of these chemical treatments, say you want to do a touch up every month just to really help reduce the visibility of incoming gray hairs. If you're just doing the roots, I highly recommend to use like a deep conditioning treatment on the roots specifically, or as well as coconut oil. Like a conditioning mask will help to really preserve that hair and the strength of the hair as well. So we want to be making sure that we're not exposing our hair to breakage or any of the negative effects that we may have incurred from our decisions of color treating our hair here at home. So just understand the risks that are involved in using chemical conflict or a very protein rich formulation is really going to help make your hair resistant to that breakage as well. And if you're someone as well who's been color treating your hair, highly recommend to just rethink your kind of hairstyling processes as well, to reduce the level of heat that you do, or also the frequency of heat styling. You can also do lower temperatures as well. So if you're someone who likes to blow dry your hair for like nice, sleek, smooth blowout, highly recommend for you to go on a cooler setting rather than a heat setting, because the heat can actually make, depending on the level of the heat and the temperature of the heat, can make your hair actually blister as a result. So I highly recommend our Thermal Obsession. This is not only one of our most moisturizing formulations, but this is also really going to help combat any of that detrimental damage that you may be incurring from the heat styling, from the hot tools, and with the holidays coming underway. Of course, we want to be making our hair color really vibrant, as well as really increase the frequency of our styling as well, just for, the season. So just rethink like any of the heat styling kind of procedures that you do and how frequently you do them. So Thermal Obsession, you do not have to always use heat in your hair to really reap the benefits. This is really an incredibly moisturizing formulation formulated with over a dozen emollient oils and silky butters, as well as hyaluronic acid. And we also have marine brown algae, which is a common ingredient that we see a lot in skincare. And this is really going to help provide that, not only that superior protection for the heat styling, but also really help to nourish the scalp with just really great antioxidants and nourishing benefits that really help boost the scalp microbiome, as well as just the hydration within the hair shaft as a whole. So if you're someone who's also, color treating your hair frequently, consider spot treating. So targeting just gray hair specifically. You don't always have to be dyeing your whole hair every single month. I highly recommend that if you do, have color on your ends, to just go ahead and keep the color off of the ends and just really target the gray hairs. So then that way you're not really getting bands of color as well, just from the frequency of using just different dyes on your hair, but also making sure that, you're not making the ends of your hair and the mid shaft of your hair really prone to further damage that is already there, because this is our oldest hair here at the ends of our hair. And then at the scalp, we really want to be making sure that that hair is really healthy from the start of the hair growth. And I highly recommend too, like when you're color treating your hair at home, just as stylists do, to section out your hair evenly. And this is really important to avoid any patchiness that you may be having. So I highly recommend that you divide your hair in 4 quadrants. So taking the middle part all the way down to the nape of the neck, and dividing your hair into 2, like I have so myself, and then dividing your hair one more time right by the ear, so in 4 quadrants. And I also recommend this parting as well for whenever you're applying our treatments as an overnight treatment as well. This way you're just making sure that you're not missing any spots, and that the application is completely thorough from, tip to root as well. And a lot of times when people are doing hair color at home, you can miss spots, or you just don't really know how to get to the back. And so just make sure that you're clipping your hair out of the way in these 4 different sections, and then working from the front to the back, especially like targeting the specific areas that may need a little bit more attention, like the grays that are really resistant to picking up that color. And I actually used just a pea size of this formulation in my hair coloring as well. So not only did I have it here on the ends as well, as a really potent protective type of treatment, but I also put this into the mixture of my hair dye as well. So in that way I had a little extra measure of protection in my hair, so that I wasn't incurring even more damage from that dye. As well as whenever you have your hair, coated in hair dye, you want to be making sure that your hair is down. I'm sure we've all, at one point we've tied our hair back up, but actually this can, make it so your hair is actually really prone to breakage as well. And before you rinse out the color, just make sure that you sprinkle a little bit of water, and then just kind of get it into the hair and kind of mix it around a little bit. This kind of helps to emulsify the dye, and really help to kind of move it all around, so then that way you don't have any lines or really streaks as a result. And then follow up with your shampoo and conditioner. I myself used a clarifying treatment after that color treatment. I actually washed out and shampooed my hair, and then I actually took a very gentle clarifying, purifying treatment, product overload, to really help kind of just make my hair a lot softer as a result, as well as just really absorbing any of the excess dye or pigment in my hair. So then that way the hair color looked a little bit more natural the day after. And so I really recommend to pick up product overload. This is incredible, really detoxifying treatment that's really gentle and color safe for your hair. Do not fear whatsoever that this is going to remove that hair color. It actually is going to make your hair a lot more vibrant, just due to the fact that these products are not going to be really coating the hair, especially like those silicones, as we have talked in the past, how they really can coat your hair and actually can have a lot of detrimental damage. So not only did I recommend so Chemical Conflict and Thermal Obsession, these are our trusted, for myself, my trusted treatments here, because I have a lot of dryness and a lot of breakage. So I actually will target them specifically in specific areas to address those concerns. I have a lot of breakage at the roots, as well as that's where I did a lot of the color. So after I conditioned my hair, after putting in product overload for about like 10 minutes in my hair, and having kind of like a nice like me time, of course, self-care is incredibly important, and having really strong, healthy hair as a result is such an amazing benefit of these treatments. I can assure you that these are one of the most unparalleled hair care products that you will ever have in your routine. They are so worth it and worth every penny, because every single ingredient here is really formulated with a conscious, not a clean conscious, but also really having that scientifically kind of proven formulation that's really going to give that offered level of protection as well as targeted repair for the hair. And so I want to talk a little bit just about the formulations of Chemical Conflict here. We did talk a little bit more about, the proteins and the molecular weight of the proteins in the hair and why that's important. And we talked about carob seed and vegetable protein as well. And these are really going to help really pump up the hair with a little bit more strength as well. So then it's going to be more resistant to that porosity, the breakage, and really has that kind of delivering that total anti-breakage type of benefit as well. And as well as helps to really lock in the colors. So then not only are you really getting that extra level of benefit of protecting your hair, preventing breakage, but you're also preventing color fading. We also have New Zealand wool. So this is going to have a lot of keratin from this wool as well. It's a biomimetic, intelligent ingredient that really helps to target the areas that are most damaged in the hair shaft. And this is really going to reconstruct the hair shaft really where it needs it most, from the inside out. We also have South African rooibos as well. This is an antioxidant rich red bush that is like a tea, if you haven't actually heard of rooibos as well. It's a tea that's actually only found in the specific antioxidant rich red bush that's only found in South Africa. So this can really help to ease any of that scalp irritation that you may have, especially if you have a sensitive scalp after getting these color treatments done, and visibly reducing split ends by 97%, as well as having 76% strength in the hair. This is incredible for hydration as well, 184% more hydration. So not only are you really getting the anti-breakage effects from these proteins, but you're also really getting a lot of nourishment to the scalp and hair after those depleting, harsh chemical treatments that you may be getting in your hair. So we also have here Thermal Obsession, and this is my trusted, not only do I use this as my heat styling protectant, but I also use it as an in-styling reparative treatment every day. This helps me really to help combat any of that thermal damage, but also really any dryness, especially in this type of season. We're going to be starting to get a little bit more dryness as a result of the change of the season, as well as really, increasing our styling as well, like I had mentioned before. And so I brought up the marine brown algae that's really providing that superior heat protection up to 450 degrees. But this is also going to really bring in the life and shine and strength back into the hair as a result. We've been hearing a lot about the benefits of marine algae or algae in skincare, and the same thing goes with hair. We use a lot of those skincare actives in those formulations for our hair treatments. Not only that, but we also have fenugreek, which is our Fenugen technology that's 5 times more potent through our eco extraction process, as well as our bond root technology as well, which really unites those skincare worthy active ingredients with these bond building ingredients that really help stimulate as well as energizing the scalp through caffeine, or also the bonds, building bonds into the hair with creatine. We also have Brazilian silkworm proteins as well that helps to really improve the strength of the hair through the proteins as well. And we are all sustainably harvested as well. We're a cruelty-free brand, as well as having clean beauty focus as well into the performance of our ingredients. So we do not have synthetic dyes. We have earth harvested type of colorants in every single one of our formulations, and these have incredible not only bring incredible shine and strength into the hair, but these have an amazing scent as well from that fenugreek as well. From our eco encapsulation of the fenugreek that's 5 times more potent than if you were to apply fenugreek alone. We actually have this really rich, warm maple aroma underlying in every single one of these treatments. And myself, I absolutely love it. It's so unique, and I've never had a hair care product that I've loved and so much, and especially that smell. It is so incredible and is such a unique thing. I actually have a lot of people ask me, like, what is in your hair? It smells amazing. And I'm like, oh, that's fenugreek. And have you heard of fenugreek for hair? And a lot of us, here in the United States have not actually heard about fenugreek and the benefits of fenugreek for hair, but actually in centuries and Asia and Chinese traditional medicine, as well as women in India, have been using fenugreek, or otherwise known as methi seeds, in their hair to really boost nourishment into the scalp as well as into the hair, also with the strength and shine. And we, as a brand, our founder actually founded a very amazing, prestigious skincare line. And with this knowledge, she wanted to find out what was it about women in India that really had, just incredibly, or really in the Middle East, why they had like such incredibly strong, healthy, nourished hair. And her journey to India, she found that fenugreek was really a common ingredient used for centuries in like holistic wellness in India through Ayurvedic holistic wellness, but also for women who would actually create a paste out of fenugreek seeds and apply them into their hair as a weekly mask. And so we actually created this fenugreek, the benefits of fenugreek in our eco extraction process, and 5 times more potent and then polyphenols than what you would actually get in your fenugreek mask alone if you were to do it yourself. If you're really curious to see a side-by-side comparison, highly recommend that you check out Makeup Magic here on YouTube. She is an incredible blogger who actually did a side-by-side comparison of the two treatments, whether, to do Save Me From on one side and then a do-it-yourself on the other side. Whether you're looking to really do a do-it-yourself option, I highly recommend to check it out. It's incredible to see the side-by-side comparison. In addition, so not only do we have the fenugreek encapsulation as well as these active ingredients, we also really have those skin-worthy actives ingredients that we know really helps to boost the hydration in skin, such as hyaluronic acid. That's a really skin-worthy active ingredient. That's a high-tech type of moisture barrier that's really strong enough to really smooth the cuticle as well from cracking, and really helps to smooth split ends as well as buffer the hair against any frizz. Especially this formulation, after 6 hours, there is prolonged sustained frizz reduction after 6 hours by 490%, which is incredible. I myself experienced a ton of frizz, especially living here in the Seattle area. It's inevitable to run into moisture into the air. So we also, in addition to marine brown algae, maltohyaluronic acid, we also have over a dozen emollient butters and rich oils in the formulation, such as Silky African, Amazon, as well as Himalayan butters that really work to have this melt on the scalp type of contact on the hair, with vitamins and really antioxidant rich ingredients that really help to nourish the parched ends of your hair as well as the scalp. This is really incredible. 201% more hydration in hair after 3 overnight uses. And our formulations, like I had mentioned, are incredibly potent and pure, but they are also really very much concentrated. So you just need a little dime or a little pea-sized amount, and then you can actually lather that into your hair being damp. When the cuticle is open, it's really going to have that highest benefit. You do not want to rinse these away, so I highly recommend to either use them as an overnight treatment, and then you can style and go the next morning if your hair is coarse and thick like mine, or if you have finer, thinner hair. Highly recommend, if you do an overnight treatment, to go ahead and follow up with a shampoo and conditioner the following day, so then that way your hair is just really bouncy and silky soft as a result from our fenugreek and FeniGen technology. So that concludes this video. I'm going to go and hop on to our Facebook live stream now. So for those of you who are joining, I'd love to see you on our Facebook live stream, where we're actually going to be talking about Diwali and really the what is Diwali and why it is celebrated in India. So excited for you to join us there. Diwali is tomorrow on the 14th of November. So I'm really excited to go over to Facebook and talk to you a little bit more about Diwali and why it's celebrated in India. So thank you so much for everyone who tuned in, and I will see you on Facebook. Bye.